Hi guys, I'm Maria. Welcome to my channel where we're talking all things money, marriage, and just general adulting. Now, unless you're really clued up on your financial literacy and your financial education, chances are you've not heard of most of these words. Okay, maybe you know one or two of them. Maybe you've taken economics at uni, or you've taken economics in A-levels, or you've got really great parents that have given you some form of financial education, or maybe you went to a really good school and you received some kind of financial education. Chances are you won't know most of these words, especially if you're under the age of 21. Now, after 21, life might teach you what some of these words mean. Some of you might learn the easy way, some learn the hard way. My point is, for most of us, we do not receive a form of financial education. And this is coming from myself as an educator. I can actually say that very little financial education is taught in schools, and most of what we learn about finances, we tend to learn through life. At school, I vaguely remember having one outside speaker come and talk. I think he was from a bank or something, and he came and spoke to us about the importance of saving and just checking your bank account every day to make sure that no fraud was being done on it. Now, this was great advice, but really, it wasn't sufficient. Now, I think we may have done a couple of personal finance lessons in PSHE. However, what 14-year-old actually takes PSHE lessons seriously? Now, we are all taught the importance of working hard in school so that you can get some good grades, so that you can get yourself into a good uni, so that you can get yourself a good job. Now, if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I think every single person my age probably has read, hence why we're all out here trying to be entrepreneurs and business owners, but Robert Kiyosaki will probably tell you that that's bad advice. Now, I'm not going to say that it's bad advice. It's actually perfectly sound advice. I will always stress the importance of working hard at school so that you can get into a good uni, so that you can get a good job. But once you have that good job, what are you then doing with the money that you are getting paid every single month? What is happening to that income that you are receiving? Because at the end of the day, if the money is coming in just as quickly as it's going out, what was the point in all that work that you did? If you're in tons and tons of debt and you're struggling to manage your finances, what was the point in all that hard work so that you can get into that good uni, to get that good job? Because at the end of the day, it's just glorified slavery. Okay, so now do not think for a second that I'm out here trying to bash regular jobs. I work a regular job and it's perfectly a good thing, you know, having a regular job. I honestly also believe that some of the best entrepreneurs that we know have been people that worked regular jobs. Working a good job will give you skills and tools that you need in life to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, whether that is continuing to work your 9 to 5 or branching out and becoming an entrepreneur or a business owner, whatever it is that you want to do. So I'm not bashing normal jobs, but, and the biggest but, is that once you have that great job and you're earning decent money, what are you doing with that money that you are earning? And this is a thing that we are not taught in school. Financial literacy and financial education is a problem in our school systems. And the funny thing is, this information underpins everything that you'll go on to do in your working life. If you're living paycheck to paycheck every single month you're waiting for your money to come through so that you can pay off all your bills, and by the end of the month you have more month than you have money, that is an issue. So in this video, I'm going to be talking really about my financial journey and the path that I'm finding myself on at this point in my life, and why I think that this knowledge is so important, and hence why I want to share this with you on my channel. So at 14, I thought I was really good at handling money. I think it started when I was in I started getting serious pocket money when I was about 11 years old in year 7. So my parents would give me about £1.50 a day, which would add up to about £7.50 a week. And this was the money that I would use for my lunch. And, you know, sometimes I'd save a little bit here and there and have a little bit extra at the end of the week. Now, that's not going to happen in this day and age. You cannot live on £1.50 a day. And that's due to inflation. When I got into year 9, so I think I was about like 14 years old, I think they increased that a little bit, so I think it went to about £12.50 or £15 a week. And then again, I was able to save even more money from that. And then by the time I got into year 11, which is about 16 years old, I think that had increased to about £20 a week. And by this point, I thought I was balling. You know, I had £20 a week coming in, and I was able to save quite a significant amount of that. So I think I'd probably spend about half of that on my lunch and expenses and things like that. And then the rest of it I would just save. And now, to reward me for being really good at saving my money, my dad said that he would double whatever I would make. So that was really nice of him. And I think that was just a way of him kind of instilling in me some kind of reward system for being a good saver. So I think what happened was, I can't remember what time period this was in, but I think I spent about maybe the next 6 weeks, I think I'd saved about £60. And I remember clearly that I'd saved about £60 because then my dad doubled it. So I remember having £120. And then I also remember that towards the end of my exams, before my results came through, we made a deal, me and my dad, we made a deal that for every, I think, A star I would get, he said he'd give me like £50, or for every A grade I'd have, I'd get 30. And for every B grade, I think he'd give me 10 or 20 pounds. I don't know exactly what it was, but I ended up doing really well. And then I ended up getting about, I think it was about 320 pounds, something of the sort. And so I had this 120 and this 320 or so. So this equated to approximately what, 440 pounds-ish, something of the sort. But I had money in the sense that this is my 16-year-old self. No responsibilities, nothing to worry about in life. This was a lot of money. And I think that summer I had a great time. I ended up spending it on clothes and shoes and whatever. But I thought I was a great saver. So fast forward to A-levels now, and my parents did not let me work during my A-levels because they didn't want me to get distracted by work, because oftentimes, you know, at that young age, the money can be a distraction. You think that that £5 an hour you're earning is amazing, and you don't realize that you still have to put in the work and the studies in order that you can get a really good job, so you don't have to be earning just minimum wage. So they didn't want me to work in order for me to not be distracted. And I think they just knew the type of person that I was, because really and truly, I wasn't doing well at A-levels, you know, I was already really quite struggling. So I think if I'd added a job on top of that, I would have been in a lot of trouble. So they didn't let me work, but I remember that on the very last day of my A-level exams, I took my CV, I took myself to Oxford Street, Bond Street, Regent Street. I just went into town and I just was handing out my CV into every single shop I wanted to work with. Now, I think it came to about day 2 or day 3 of just, you know, old school, old fashioned, going into shop. Are you looking for someone to hire? You know, handing in my CV. I finally landed myself a job at Skechers, and Skechers, it's the American shoe shop. So I had this was my first job ever in Skechers, and I was excited. I was so happy because it just meant that I could work that summer, and this was the summer before I got to uni. And so it was amazing, you know, and I remember I worked really, really hard that summer long because I knew that I needed money as well. And I just wanted, it was just that sense of independence that, you know, I'm growing up, you know, I'm earning my own money, and it was just it was a great feeling. I was so excited, worked really, really hard that whole summer. And Skechers at the time, they were paying minimum wage, and at that time, minimum wage was £5.35 an hour. So I was earning £5.35 an hour, but with Skechers, they also paid commission. So, you know, by the time, so for every shoe you would sell, you would get, I think, was it 50p or an extra pound or something like that, depending on how many shoes you would sell. And that would add up to quite a nice amount. So I remember that when I got my first paycheck from Skechers, I think it was approximately £750. I remember I'd earned about £750, and wow, come and look at me. Yes, I was balling. I was rich. I was very rich. I mean, think about it. This is my 18-year-old self. I'd never had that kind of money in my life, and I just thought, My days, like the feeling I had at that point was just overwhelming. I can't even explain it. So I had that $750, and then I think my second paycheck was about the same amount of money, and by this time I had just started university, and it just went downhill from there, okay? It went downhill from there.
Nothing left. I can't do this.
I wish I had someone tell me the importance of saving money, of investing, of, I just wish I had that kind of financial knowledge, financial education, just something that would help me to have made better choices and better decisions at that point in my life, but I didn't. So I spent all sorts of money, and well, luckily in terms of my job, I had a job for the good part of my first year of uni. I had a part-time job, and it was actually from Skechers. So the London store that I was working at basically transferred me to the Birmingham store, which was fantastic because I had a nice job there waiting for me as I got to Birmingham. And so I worked there for a good probably 9 months or so of my first year. And it was great. So I had some money coming in, but the money I had coming in was leaving just as quickly. In terms of student loan, all the student loan I had went to paying off my accommodation. Had I been wise, I probably would have gone for the cheaper £30 a week accommodation and saved some of that money, but I wasn't. I wanted the ensuite, gorgeous, brand new accommodation, and to be honest, I don't know if going back I would have changed my mind. I don't know, but I went for the expensive accommodation, and back there, a week in that accommodation was £97, which is a dream in this day and age, but back then that was quite expensive. So I was paying that, so I had basically no student loan money, so I was basically just living off the money that I was working, since my student loan was going to paying off my accommodation. And then when I stopped working, you know, I was really fortunate that my parents were just able to help me as well financially through my studies, but I wasn't really good. I realized at this point that actually I'm not so great at handling money, but I think I was in denial because of my, you know, 14, 12, 15, 16-year-old self. I was thinking, yeah, I'm still good at money, but no, this was not the situation. Okay, so I think what happened was I had a student overdraft, and I ended up going into about maybe £500 of overdraft expenses. And I think the first time I did that, my mum bailed me out, and she, you know, sorted out my finances. So then she took away the debt, which was fantastic. But then the second time I went, you know, deep into my overdraft, I think I went into about £1,600 of overdraft. What did I spend that money on? You know, only God knows, because honestly, I cannot account for the money that I was spending. I think most of you will really understand what I'm talking about when you cannot account for where your money has gone. It's gone somewhere, where? We don't know. So basically I ended up going into about £1,600 worth of overdraft. And when I told my mum, and this time she was like, you are on your own, okay? So this time she was not bailing me out. She was like, you are on your own. I am not sorting you out this time, you know, sort yourself out. And so basically I just ended up just living in that overdraft. Anytime you'd get a little bit of money, it would top off the overdraft a little bit, but I was just basically living in -0. And then what happened was, I remember going to the bank and I needed money, and I took out a student credit card, and I think I took out the credit card quite earlier on. I was terrified. I think the one thing that has actually just kind of saved my life, in my financial life, was the fact that I actually had a deep fear of getting into ridiculous credit card debt, because one thing I'd heard was that credit card debt was really bad, so don't get into credit card debt because it's really bad. I didn't know why, but I just knew that let me not take out a credit card card because my understanding was it's not really your money. So I was afraid of debt, of credit card debt. I wasn't afraid of, I don't know why, I wasn't afraid of overdraft because I think it was, oh, student overdrafts are interest free, or back, you know, they're interest free overdraft. So I wasn't afraid of getting into that. But with the credit card, you would start paying interest. But the student credit card had a really good deal on it, but I only had a £500 limit. And I thought that was a good limit for myself because £500 was something that was manageable. Even if I maxed it out, you know, I'd somehow be able to recover from £500. So I remember I hardly used to use my credit card. I would use it here and there, but I was really good at just making sure I'd pay it off. I think for the first maybe 2 or 3 years of having that £500 credit card, I think I'd only go up to about maximum maybe £50 or so, or maybe 100 or so, and then I would, you know, I would try and pay it back some way, somehow. Fast forward now, it's end of uni, it's final year, and me and my girls decided that we are going to go on a trip of a lifetime to Miami. We decided that we were gonna take ourselves to Miami to celebrate, you know, finishing uni. You know, we were all young, 21, fresh out of uni. It was a great time of life, and we decided that we were gonna go to Miami. My friend organized all of it, and what happened was I knew I needed some money. My mum wasn't gonna help me out because she said she's leaving me now, I'm on my own. So I took a part-time job, and I ended up working at a smoothie shop for about 3 months just to have enough money for my trip. Now going on my trip, obviously we were just broke students, so this small £500 credit card I had, I ended up just maxing it out. You know, I took out everything I could, and then plus the money I'd earned from work, and just basically that was it. By the time, you know, I finished, and to be honest, you know, looking back at that trip, would I have changed things financially? Would I have been smarter with my money? Honestly, even to this very day, I can't even tell you, you know, if I'm being really honest, I can't even say that I would change anything because it was such an amazing trip. To this day, me and my friends still talk about just the amazing time we had. It was such an amazing memory, and just for such a perfect time of life, you know, where you're totally carefree, no responsibilities. It was nice, you know, it was really, really nice, and I would never take, you know, no matter how much whatever I spent on that trip, I don't think I would ever take it back. You know, I had an amazing time, but I was broke. I was totally broke. So, you know, graduating, I had no money, and personal debt. I left uni with about £2,100 of debt, which, you know, some of you are saying that's not that bad. To be honest, I don't even think, like, I don't think it was that bad, but it was debt. And at the end of the day, debt is debt. You know, you can't be living your best life when you owe people money. So I had this debt, and this doesn't include student loan debt. So it's not including a student loan. This is just my personal debt was about £2,100. And basically from there, I think I went about 6 months without a job because I took a gap year. I didn't want to go into work straight away. And what I'd done at that point in time is I had deferred my entry for my teaching qualification because I just knew that I wanted a year to just kind of relax and not do anything, and not stress out. So I went about 6 months without a serious job or anything. And then I think about after 6 months, I managed to get into, it was a pre-teacher training course. So it was a pre-teacher training course, and the great thing about that, because the government's constantly trying to encourage people to get into teaching, so they paid for that. So it was a 6 months pre-teaching training course, and that course was giving me about £800 a month for 6 months, which was really nice. And that was like my first experience of, well, actually it wasn't, because obviously I'd had a job before, but it was just a nice, okay, while I'm doing this gap year, it was a nice little income that I had coming in. And then after the gap year, then I went into my teacher training, and again, because I was training for a shorted subject, okay, I'm a science teacher with a chemistry specialism. Because of my subject choice, it was a shorted subject, the government were giving off bursaries to encourage more people into going into these subjects. And at the time, it was a £9,000 bursary. It is, I think it has changed since. It's gone up. I believe for some of these sorted subjects, especially physics and chemistry and maths, I believe that people can get up to about £25,000 worth of bursary now just to train to teach. But regardless, that £9,000 was a really nice little income I had coming in, but still, you know, at this point, when it came to money, I was still not very good at handling the money. And looking back now, there are a number of choices that I think I would have made if I could have gone back that would have really saved me a lot, because for my training, I ended up leaving London and going back to Birmingham for my training when I could have stayed in London, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to go back to Birmingham. And obviously, when you're living away from home, you are going to spend so much more money as a student in comparison than if you're living at home. So yeah, that cost me a lot. But again, you know, did my training, had a little bit of income, and then after my training, that's when I, you know, became a teacher and started actually earning money every single month. But I don't think my money management improved until the day I got engaged and the day that, you know, me and my husband decided to get married. That was the day when I realized that I really, really needed money. How did I know? Because the thing is, Bella Niger, Weddings on Point, all those bridal things on Facebook, and Instagram wasn't a big thing back then, but all these like bridal, you know, bridal accounts and things like that. Oh my days, I realized that they were selling me dreams that I could not live up to. You know, there were so many things that I wanted. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, I can't afford this, can't afford that. And so I remember at that point in time, you know, alongside my regular job, I remember taking on all sorts of other side hustles. You know, I became an exam marker, I was a tutor. Anything I could do to earn a little bit of extra money, I would do just to save up for our wedding. Now, luckily, my husband had a really, really good job and they were paying him really well, and he was living away, and what happened is they took care of all his expenses. So all he had to actually spend money on was his food, like even his travel accommodation, all of that was like taken care of. So all the money that he was earning, he basically just put it into savings. So that really helped us a lot. And luckily, you know, I'm really thankful, you know, our families were able to help us with the wedding. So my parents contributed, his parents contributed, and then we also put in money from, you know, whatever we could put. And so what that meant was that we were able to actually start off our marriage on a really good financial footing. So we started off, and also I have to also admit that, you know, my husband is a really good saver. He's got a saver mindset. So because of that, it's like, even the stuff, I think I'll tell you more about all of this in a later video about, you know, saving for weddings and, you know, things like that. But the point is, we started off on a good financial footing, and it was only at that point that my mindset about money and my, you know, money management started to change. And then again as well, when we got into business together, that is when I realized that I need to get clued up on financial education. I need to learn all of this stuff, because most of this I was not taught in school, and most of you are not being taught this stuff in school. If you're really lucky, you might have parents that talk to you about this, but if not, you know, your parents don't really understand about this, you don't understand it, you know, the people that are teaching you don't really know it either. And we're all basically just figuring out our financial education as we, you know, as we live life. And, you know, it's unfortunate because some of you are not actually bad with money. You're only bad with money because you've not been taught how to handle money. You've not been taught about, you know, saving accounts or investment accounts. You've not been taught. And when you don't have that financial education, it already puts you at a disadvantage, which is why, like I said in the beginning, I have become very passionate about financial education and just, you know, just sharing what I'm learning. Like, I am no financial guru or financial expert at this point in time, but everything that I am learning, you know, like I said, I'm that type of person. When I know something, I want to let everybody know that I know something. I want to let you know that I know something. I want to let you know, and you know, and you know. So yeah, so whatever it is that I am learning, I will be sharing. And so for me, that is my story. That is my financial journey. This is the stuff that we are not being taught at school. And I just thought I would share this little bit of a rant / story on basically why I think this stuff is so important and why I'm sharing it with you. So if you like this video, go ahead and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I upload videos every single Friday. I try to, you know, we're working on this consistency thing, but we're getting there, hopefully, fingers crossed. And yes, make sure you leave your comments down below. What are your thoughts on financial education? How much do you know? What are you doing to improve your financial literacy? Oh, and also don't forget to hit that bell button whilst you're hitting that subscribe button, because a lot of people are not getting my notifications for the videos. Make sure you hit that bell so that you will be notified every time I upload a video. And so yes, that is all we have time for. I will catch you guys next week. Take care. Bye.